There is a fifth dimension.
A dimension of sound.
Damn it, Frank! We tell him to be quiet. I spilled my hot cup of Uranus again.
A dimension of sight.
Hey, Arch. I'm gonna sock you in the puss.
A dimension of mind.
Nan Adams, is that you?
Next stop, the Twilight Zone.
Do you want the link for the Funko Pops for Twilight Zone?
You said that to me, did you?
Did I?
Yeah, I think, or maybe it was just a news story on it.
Oh no, they on Amazon they have them up for pre-order. I don't know if you're interested.
I'll take a
I
look.
don't know if you can. Yeah.
I sent you guys a picture of my cat looking at you guys right before he knocked my my camera down.
Don't blame that pussy.
I will blame that black pussy
nice
all
face,
I want.
nice face of Jacob. See,
He's intent.
You're the exact opposite of me. Oh no, are you on the left side of the screen, Trev, or right side?
I'm on the right side, you're on the left side, and then Jake is right below us.
Hey, you're on my bottom. I'm on my right, and Nick's on my left.
Oh yeah, on the left. Okay.
And Banshee was sitting there watching you intently. He's all
licking
like,
his lips.
So
like a pussy.
yeah, exactly.
Like
All right. So we're back to talk a new episode of the Twilight Zone. I'm starting to see a pattern with these Twilight Zone episodes in the 5th season. We'll talk about it. Trib might be, I don't know how Jacob feels, but this is an episode that premiered in the Twilight Zone. It's not written by Rod Serling. Yeah. It's not written by Rod Serling. It does have music by Bernard Herrmann of My Grandfather's Clock.
It was actually Bernard Herrmann's last or final musical score for the Twilight Zone.
Before he died? Oh, the Twilight Zone. I thought maybe before he died or something like that.
Yeah, final score for the series.
Oh, okay. I don't know. Can we talk about something else?
No.
What's about flatulence or something? I don't know.
Look, we're here to talk about this episode. So get your ass in gear and do the thing.
Yeah. I do want to thank everybody who watched our Uncle Simon video. 1.7K is up to right now. Might go higher. I don't know. All your comments were quite interesting. We'll just leave it at that. Alex, I know you were supposed to be on tonight. If you're watching this video, thank you for the comment. Thank you for sticking up for us and writing a pithy comment. It was pretty it
was pretty pithy.
Elating. Yeah, it was much appreciative. So you're always good for a comment. And you're always good whenever you want to come back. I know you're out tonight, but Jacob and Trevor here. We're here to talk season 5, episode 12, 90 Years Without Slumbering, the worst title of the series by none. I fucking hate this title with a passion. It's pretty bad.
It's based off of a song.
I don't care if it's based off of a song. It's awful. It's like
not a great title.
Yeah,
it's not the worst. That one. What was that one? There was one that we talked about at length. It just didn't even roll off the tongue. You had to like contort your mouth to say it.
Was it Perchance to Dream?
That, you know, it actually has a good title.
The 7th is made up of phantoms. Is that it?
That's not a good one either. No, it's a bit older. I think it was from last season. I don't know.
Oh, is it the like something today and something tomorrow or yesterday or something?
Thursday with you for home.
No
time.
The monsters are due on Maple Street, right?
Oh yeah.
Go fuck yourself. I'm sorry. What?
That's the one.
No, I'm kidding.
Was it Person or
Hocus
Persons
Pocus.
Unknown?
That's a bad one too. It may be that. I don't remember. I mean, my point is there have been worse titles, but this isn't a great one.
Yeah.
30 Fathoms Grave. Jezebel.
It's based on Tick of Time.
Yeah, Tick of Time.
I just saw that. That's my contribution.
There you go.
It wasn't
with that, we're out, guys.
$4.
Nervous Man and a $4 penis stretcher.
Yeah.
Okay, so
Timu penis stretcher.
Oh my god.
So the Mad Hatter. Oh, this is directed by Roger Kay, written by Richard D. Roy, based off a script or based off a story, Tick of Time by Johnson Smith. As Jacob alluded to, production code 2615, original air date right before Christmas, December 20th, 1963. Stars the Mad Hatter, Ed Wynn, Carolyn Kearney, and James C. Callhan, as well as some other people that I don't recognize. Yeah. So this episode isn't bad. I'm gonna be straight out. It's not a bad episode. It is not a Twilight Zone episode, as I've alluded to many times. There is a difference between what makes a Twilight Zone episode and what makes a filler episode, and this is very much a filler episode. Whether you guys
Pray
agree or
tell,
not,
what makes up a Twilight Zone episode?
a Twilight Zone episode is not this. It deals with, sci-fi ideas and,
Not always.
well, not always, but
I think
it
there's
doesn't.
usually a unique the twist at the,
unique-
not a twist, but like
yeah.
a twist, a twist of fate in the end.
Yes, like a short drink
I
from
mean-
a certain fountain is more of a Twilight Zone episode than this. This is just an old man who fears that he's going to die if the clock stops. It doesn't feel very Twilight Zone to me. It
It
feels like
still covers a lot of stuff, and I will agree. This is not the end all be all of great
Traditional.
Twilight Zone episodes. I'm not, and it certainly
Mm.
isn't a traditional one. But I still think there are episodes that do cover, like, I know that Kick the Can was a lot more of a Twilight Zone-y episode, but the general themes and such are still covered in that way. It's about a guy that's dying. He lives by the clock, dies by the clock, and he didn't die by the clock.
Triv. Homer ate a bad version of fugu, and he lived.
Was there a Treehouse of Horror episode based on this?
Yeah,
episode?
Homer. No, there wasn't a Treehouse of Horror episode, but Homer eats a puffer fish, and they cut it wrong, and so the doctor says he has 24 hours to live. So he tries to do everything in that 24 hours.
Well, see, there's a Simpsons reference based off of it, so we're good. It's a Twilight Zone episode. Thank you very much. Everyone have a great night. I'm out.
What does the Twilight Zone mean? An area just beyond ordinary legal and ethical limits. I don't know if that makes any sense. The lowest level of the ocean that light can reach. A song that was written
Twilight
by Rush.
Zone episode is an episode of a show that was produced between 1959 and 1964 on CBS on a show called The Twilight Zone.
That's right.
A Miller boy at production. Sit, boo boo, sit.
Are you
Sit, Ubu, sit.
A Cayuga, it's a Cayuga River or Cayuga
Yeah.
Lake Cayuga thing. No, I
I
agree
mean,
with you. I don't think that this is
he
the end all
talks.
be
He
all.
talks to his ghost of his present past or whatever. It's come on.
He does.
Sure.
his own ghost?
Yeah.
But he talks to himself. He figures out that, he needs to stop being an idiot and go out and live.
The Holy Spirit.
Something.
Yeah. Then he needs to go break into other people's houses. I mean, it's an episode of I don't know, Three's Company or something, or Mr. Ed. I don't know. It just doesn't feel like a Twilight.
No, I agree. It's not what you would call traditional Twilight Zone episodes. And I would also say that there is a good chunk of these fifth season episodes that really the greatest examples of what we have in Twilight Zone. But there are also a lot of episodes coming that do personify what Twilight Zone is. So,
Personification.
Griv.
yes.
Personification. This should have been called the
Personification.
personification of boredom. Personification of death.
Oh, in the beginning, when you said your little spiel, I thought you were going to say, this is not, let me get this out of the way. This is not a bad episode of Twilight Zone, but it is not a good episode of Twilight Zone.
Well, and I will say
I can't
this. So I will say this, and this has been a consistent thing for the past several episodes that we've had. If you look at Pace, as much as we goof on Pace Magazine and IMDb and all the rest in their ratings, there has been some consistency with these past episodes. They all kind of fall between 80 and 120. They're kind of lower middle of what the Twilight Zone has to offer. They're not the worst,
feel
but they are far from the best.
I feel like there's a closet in CBS Studios. CBS exec goes to Rod, says, "Hey, we're turning this into a Twilight Zone script." He's like, "No." He's like, "Okay, here's some Oasis cigarettes. All right, where do I stand?" Tell my monologue.
I mean,
That's
are
what
the
it feels
smoothest
like.
taste.
Pressed toothpaste.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
And some, what was the other thing in the credits?
Clorox bleach.
Yeah.
Milk Way or something like that. I don't know.
There was also some
Wh-
kind of a dish soap at one point too.
Was that the dish soap?
Was it?
Okay, maybe.
I
that's
think
what it was.
so.
Was Maytag in there somewhere? I'm
No.
sure.
No,
No. Was there cat litter or something like that?
I don't think so.
The credits came on when I wasn't looking, and I looked up, and it just was randomly having product placement in the credits. That's why I saw the crest in the box. I thought it said Milk Way. I don't know what that was, but maybe I misread it. It's old and fuzzy. Because I remember
Just
going,
like us.
yeah, I was in the kitchen
Old
and
and fuzzy.
I got my wife. I was like, look, that's what ads used to be. Crest.
See, okay, so okay. Production note. in the Wikipedia page, because that's all I look at is the Wikipedia page. I don't actually do research, according to some people. 90 Years Without Slumbering was a drastic reworking of original script by George Clayton Johnson. Tick of Time, most notably in Tick of Time. Okay, so he had somebody change his name because Johnson Smith was George Clayton Johnson, so he must have been pissed by this. Most notably in Tick of Time, the main character did indeed die when the clock stopped. Johnson did not approve of the changes and changed his on-screen presidium, whatever you want to call it, synonym. So what you were saying, Jacob, what you were asking, most notably in Tick of Time, the main character did indeed die when the clock stopped. That's what you were asking about earlier. Yeah.
Okay.
But okay, isn't that and the fact that there is studio meddling, that changes a lot of the conversation. But wouldn't it have been the non like twist to have him actually die when the clock stopped?
Yeah, we all kind of expected that.
But that makes it more Twilight Zone-y than
Does it?
guy
No, if it
expected
follows
granddaughter and
I see where Trev's
episode
coming
of the
from,
week
and I
by
agree.
Walt Disney.
I think the subversion of the twist was because like the twist starts to happen and then it's like a record scratch. And he's like, whoa, we're not doing this. I think that was the twist was the subversion of the twist.
I mean,
That
I
there
guess
was no twist, or the twist you expected was stopped in its tracks almost like in a comical way. I think.
But this just kind
Or
of
is that
waters
what you were
down the
saying?
whole experience.
Is that what you were saying, Trev? Kind of
No,
sort of.
I would say that the subversion of expectations, the fact that he lives,
Yeah. Well,
makes
that's what I
it
mean.
no, that makes it more like that makes it more Twilight Zone-y because it puts it in a different direction than you were expecting.
Yeah.
So it sounds like you guys both enjoyed this episode more than me,
I didn't say that.
which is okay. Well, I mean, I was gonna say okay. So Triv thinks this is a good Twilight Zone episode. I think this is
okay. I
not
think
a
it's
good-
serviceable. I don't think it's not the end all be all. It's certainly not top 50 by any stretch. I actually agree with Pace and IMDb in this case. I just don't think it's bottom of the barrel. Like it.
Oh, I didn't say it was bottom of the barrel. I just said it doesn't. It's not a Twilight Zone episode. Like I guess I should rephrase that. It's a entertaining episode with a lot of provoking, a lot of thought-provoking messages about your life and how time is in essence like what we live our life by, and when time stops for your heart or whatever, that's the end of it. We go to zero and all that stuff. But it feels like more of like the writer and storytelling was like we're worried about the implications of what death brings, and instead of like actually concocting a Twilight Zone episodes. Therefore, I think it fails. That's just how I feel. Sorry.
No, that's fair. I do think that there is room to talk about some of that stuff though in the Twilight Zone, being that it's, I mean, every episode is going to have a slightly different slant because, like, what defines Twilight Zone?
I think we did this word already.
We did, but there really wasn't a. We got definitions, but not really a. I'm like what in your mind? I know it's sci-fi, it's Western, it's there's that essential twist, right? That's kind of the thing that defines Twilight Zone. Yes,
its characters find themselves dealing with often disturbing and unusual events and experience described as entering the Twilight Zone.
Isn't death one of those things? This guy has a superstition about himself that the only thing, because it was passed down from his dad, that if he doesn't wind the clock, he will die.
But that doesn't.
I agree.
There's
It's
gotta
not
be more
it's
to it
not
than
well.
that.
It's not necessarily the greatest like way of putting it forward. But I'm not going to sit here and say, for me, I think that this has much merit to be a Twilight Zone episode as anything, really. We're not talking like a soap opera drama here. We're talking about something that.
I mean, most of it feels like a soap opera drama when they sit down and talk for 8 hours about his life and stuff like that. It's just like, okay, get on with the story.
I mean, it suffers from the same thing they had last week. There's a lot of talking and not very much action. It is a thin story. There's no doubt. Exactly.
That yourself is just a show.
Really just relax. Yeah, exactly. What are your thoughts,
All
Jake?
right. Yeah,
I've been mumbling on.
Well,
Ramble.
okay, so I had a lot of not conflicting. I had thoughts on this episode. Now, I got to give just a teensy weensy bit of a history as to why I had thoughts on this episode. There were a couple of things going on here. First of all, not to be a downer, but just to put you in my mind space. real quick. And my mother passed away this past week. So
Oh, wow.
that puts me in a spot.
Absolutely.
And I've been dealing with all that. Elderly person, it was not to get into the details, but it was expected. We knew it was eventually going to happen. She was in her 80s on hospice. But anyway, so I key up this episode, I turn it on, and it's about an old man. And then from the jump, it's an old man at the end of his life. And at least I was led to believe in the first minute or two, this is probably not going to end good for him, at least, living. And I was like, oh, great. I don't know if this is the episode I need to watch right now. So I went into it thinking it was going to be, and I audibly, because I was in the kitchen and my wife was in there with me, I said, this is going to be a sad episode. But why I say that is because the whole episode I was expecting, and I'm expecting what they tell you to expect, which is this clock is going to stop ticking and this guy's going to die. And we see it a few times when he comically kind of falls over and then suddenly gets up and winds it and all that. Another thing, before I go further, that I liked about it that I related to with this episode is the grandfather clock itself. In my family, my grandfather was a carpenter. Well, he was a carpenter, I guess, in his free time. I don't know. He's a really good carpenter. He made a grandfather clock. He made a lot of things. But I remember from my childhood, and it still exists to this day, he made a grandfather clock that looks an awful lot like that one. And very intricate and all that. And he made that, and it was in my family the whole time. So every time I saw this thing, I don't know. I mean, he didn't tell me that I was going to die if it stopped ticking, but still, grandfather clocks. My grandfather made it. He said, wasn't it that his grandfather made it?
Something like that. Yeah.
Made at the same time.
It was made at the same day same rough time that he was born. So the clock is basically as old as he is.
And I thought it said that his grandfather made it. So maybe I was just projecting. And
well, I know his dad, he lived 90 years and he quote never slept because he was always winding the clock. Whatever clock. I don't think it's this one, but
okay. Maybe I projected that. But either way,
it might have, yeah.
There was a grandfather clock in my life when I was younger too, and it meant a lot because my grandfather passed away when I was younger. I do remember him quite a bit, but I remember that clock. Every time I saw it, it reminded me of him, and it's a really cool thing. Until this day, it still runs at my dad's house. But anywho, so my point is there was lots of sentimental feelings and personal feelings going into this episode. But the episode itself, before we get to the end, I enjoyed. I mean, I wasn't blown away by it, but I mean, I thought it moved along at a brisk enough clip. I really liked the guy who was played by Ed Wynn.
He was the main guy. Yeah, he was the main guy.
I liked him. His voice was really familiar.
Yeah, he played Mad Hatter in Alice in Wonderland.
He was also in Alt One for the Angels. I think he was a relatively prolific actor as well.
Yeah, he looked familiar too, but his voice is what kept doing it for me. He reminded me, and I know it's just a voice. I don't know if you've seen Wreck-It Ralph.
Mm-hmm.
The bad guy who turns out being the bad guy, the guy
who's
over the little
Alan
kingdom.
Plays.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
Is that
King
who?
Candy.
Okay, he sounded
Fix It
like
Felix.
that.
Yeah.
I kept saying not Fix It Felix, but the
No,
guy
it was
who runs-
King Candy.
Oh,
I know who
yeah.
you're talking about.
I kept thinking that's his voice, and then I'd look at him and know what year this was. I was like, no way, that's his voice. This guy was not alive when that movie was made. But anyway,
this guy died in 1966, by the way, Edwin.
Yeah, so that wasn't him. But yeah, his voice. I feel like maybe did he voice some cartoon characters or something, like Hanna-Barbera or something? I don't know, but either way, yeah, I liked him. I liked his character. I liked. I could also relate to I know that was her grandfather, but like I said, my mother lived with me in the later stages of her life. And this lady's got her grandfather living with her. So there's a lot in this episode that just kind of spoke to me personally. I like seeing people take care of their elders and stuff. And that was cool. And they were having a baby. We had a baby, lots of parallels. But yeah, when it gets to the skip over to the end. When it gets to the end, I know the ending is a point of contention for us and for apparently the studio and everybody. The ending is what really did it for me, because I actually enjoyed this episode even more because of the ending. If it had just ended with him dying, I expected that. And when it was happening, because it shows his ghost get up, I actually thought that was odd. I was like, oh, look at Twilight Zone doesn't usually do that. He would usually just die. It's usually a little bit more vague than like showing like the transposed like ghosts get up and all that. So I thought that was odd. But when he got up and then he's like, whoa, wait. And I like the jovial tone that it took where he's like, no, we're not doing this. And he even said, I know I'm just talking to myself right now, but we're not doing this. We're not going along with that. I'm going to live. I'm going to see my great grandson and all this and that. And I like the way it ended. I thought it was a hopeful ending. The whole entire time you're thinking it's not going to be a hopeful ending. At best, you're hoping that maybe it'll be like a bittersweet kind of he comes to terms with it and passes with the alarm clock or the grandfather clock and, finds some peace and solace in that or something like that. But no, he says, no, screw that. I've been living my life by this clock all this time and I don't have to now. It was essentially somebody taking, I don't want to say trauma, but this thing that they had dealt with or lived with their whole life. Like he had structured his whole life around this thing and getting the help that he needed and actually like coming out the other side better and saying, no, I don't have to live within these constraints that I've lived my whole life. I can actually live a more fuller life. And he even says it when he's walking down the stairs and says, when that clock died, I was born again. And like, I was born like, or whatever, however he put it, I can't remember, but I really like that. I thought, yes, it was a little sappy. It's a little bit sentimental and it's even has a bit of a jovial turn there at the end, swing in its tone, but I enjoyed it. I liked it. It's sweet. That's what I could say. It was a sweet episode. They kind of put a smile on my face. It was nice to see a happy ending, and maybe that's just, right now I could use a happy ending and I got a happy ending there. I wasn't expecting it. And I was like, well, that was nice. Is it the be all end all Twilight Zone? No, I agree with you guys. It's not what I would consider a traditional episode, but I do think that like Triv said earlier, and I commented on, I think that the way that it subverts the expectations of a Twilight Zone episode and how you expect this episode to go, that is something that Twilight Zone did expertly, especially in season 1. I do think that they kind of lost that a bit as it went on, how it would subvert your expectations to what you thought was going to happen. Now, you'd always get that twist, like especially in season 1, but it would be like the whole time you're trying to think of what's it going to be, what's going to happen, and you're thinking, oh, it's going to be this, it's going to be that, and it was always something that you weren't expecting. That's what they did here. We got a twist in the end, and it was definitely not what I was ever expecting. I know the past few episodes I've said, oh yeah, I saw that ending coming. I saw it coming. I did not see this one coming.
Nice.
So yeah, I enjoyed it. I don't think it's the best, but one of the better ones I've seen for a while. It made me feel good.
And that's important. That we all have those episodes that give us that connection when we need it. So good, bad, or indifferent. I'm glad it did that for you, man.
Yeah. Liked it.
Yeah, I mean, I appreciate that. Like I said, there are episodes that do that. My whole big contention point is like a Twilight Zone has a particular, I don't know, it has a particular purpose.
There's a rhythm.
Storytelling. I just don't feel
tone.
like this is. Yeah, and I think when it gets into the more heartfelt episodes, I think it veers out from what Rod Serling was trying to say about, culture as a whole. And like I said, when, you have episodes like Kick the Can that deal with this, it has a much more interesting idea of like, yeah, he lives his life by the clock, but, I don't know. It's really frustrating because I really like this episode, but I can't rank it high in the Twilight Zone. And it's gonna make me sound stupid for
no, it doesn't make you sound
making
stupid
it
at all.
not make any sense, but
No,
it's just,
you make perfect sense.
But it did do something different.
Mhm.
And like, how many episodes are we in now? 130?
132 this is.
132 episodes in. I don't think trying something a little different is the worst thing in the world. I mean, you don't want to veer too far off, and then it's like, sign up for Twilight Zone and get a Friends episode. But I mean, I think that I see where you're coming from, and I agree. I think that it was not traditional, especially with its ending. But I don't know if he died if the clock like went off and he died the way that we all expected it to end. Would that have been traditional? Would that have been satisfying? Wouldn't we be sitting here right now going, I mean, I pretty much saw the ending in the very beginning. It didn't really do anything. I was kind of bored because it was just by the numbers.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, if nothing else, the ending did kind of throw a monkey wrench in there you weren't expecting. Because I just don't. If he died, what would be the point? If the clock, but beyond just a weirdness that he was somehow tethered to this clock, if he died when the clock stopped ticking, like he'd been saying he was going to do the whole time, and we saw glimpses of, what would the point of the episode be? Listen to your elders when they say crazy shit.
Yeah, I mean,
'Cause I
I'm
say some
not saying
crazy
that
shit.
there aren't. I'm not saying there's not motifs in here that aren't Twilight Zone-ish. I'm just like, I'm thinking about how you watch an episode like Living Doll, or you watch an episode like Their Monster to Do on Maple Street, and there's something weirdly special about how it takes that ending and it creates a unique idea, unique vision, thinking about the human psyche and human emotion and human ideology when they get into like war episodes and stuff like that. And I guess maybe if you boil it down to, there is some semblance of Twilight Zone here. I think it follows this pattern of, you could watch this on Walt Disney's that series that he does every Sunday, and this could be perfectly fit into there because it's not scary, it's not disturbing. It's just a guy who feels like his life is too much tethered to time, and if time stops, then he'll stop too. And I just don't feel like that's very Twilight Zone-y, but
I think it
I don't
also
know.
a bit about like obsession and compulsive behavior.
Yeah.
Well,
It
and
definitely
just
deals with
the
some mental health. No, not mental health in the traditional sense, but like very much a obsessive behavior, and how we can obsess about things and it can run our lives to the point. Yeah, granted, it's a bit big to the point in this that he thinks he's going to die if it does, but how obsession can run our lives, and it doesn't have to. And sometimes if we would just like get away from that, we can, live our actual lives.
Yeah.
I mean, kind of expanding upon your point, Jake, too. I think that time is one of those things that, it's something that affects you throughout your life. When you're a kid, time doesn't move quick enough, but then you get to be an adult and time moves too fast.
Yeah.
And, my dad always said life is like a roll of toilet paper. The closer you get to the end, the quicker it goes. And there's always that
I like
emphasis
that.
on time. Yeah, it's a great line. One of my favorites.
Just don't have a cat and then make it go quicker.
He would also say, don't piss into the wind. So take that how you
I've heard that one.
Yep. But I think it's something. And again, it's not the most Twilight Zone episode, but I think that it does go to a deeper point for that. Pretty much everyone is going to be able to understand and go with. Most people that watch this are going to say, "Oh, well, that's true. You do look at the clock and go, oh shit." This year's gone so fast. I'm gonna be whatever age and whatever time.
I'm how old?
Yeah.
Well,
Coming up to a
no,
birthday soon, and it scares the crap out of me.
it's ironic because I remember when I was like, we can all remember when we were 20 going, you know what, 40 is so far away. And you open your eyes, fuck, I'm way past 40. This fucking sucks. My parents just laugh at me. You're like, yeah, see, we told you. It would come eventually. Actually, you know what? Let's do the opening narration. I'm sure Alex would have yelled at us by now.
Oh,
After
yeah.
hearing. I'm sure the people out there that watch are like, when the fuck are they gonna do the opening narration? They've been talking for 3 hours already. It's like, come on, people.
All right,
So we
let
do
me
the see at the
same.
end.
Each man measures his time, some with joy, some with hope, some with fear. But Sam Frostman measures his allotted time by a grandfather's clock, a unique mechanism whose pendulum swings between life and death, a very special clock that keeps a special kind of time in the Twilight Zone.
Wow, that was very special. I wonder if it was a kind of special.
I try to be special.
Yeah,
I don't have to try.
you gave me joy and fear at the same time, Jacob.
That
All
was
in this.
what I was going for.
Yeah.
You get a nice head pat.
Yeah. You go, there. It's like Baymax. there. Okay, so you guys all want to know the plot out there, and Twilight Zone Fifth Dimension world. Sam Frostman or Forsman, he talks to or he sings to his grandfather clock. Marnie Kirk and Doug Kirk don't see that as a very good thing. They think he's spending too much time at the clock, and then they have conversations about the clock and about how old he is and how he fears death and how he fears that the clock will stop, and his father and his father before his father and his father and his father and his uncle's second cousin and all that stuff. It's just like this clock is time incarnate, is evil, and if it runs out of time, they'll die. And it's kind of like it follows, it's always following them, some kind of
It ticks.
STD. And yeah, but that's pretty much like the most of the story is just how do we deal with this guy who refuses to live life and he's too bothered by the clock itself. And once again,
I
we
get
all
that.
live life by time, so yeah.
Well, you got to understand when people, and I know he was. I mean, it seemed like he had all his mental faculties for the most part, but like with kids and with the elderly, and I don't mean all elderly. If anyone elderly is listening to this, but some elderly people, they can go into things that deteriorate the mind, and they will say some out there stuff.
Yeah.
They'll say some really just like really out there stuff. And I don't think what this guy was saying, as far as I'm not saying I think what he was saying was true, but the things he was saying was not that too far out there for someone who's elderly that isn't in total control of their mental faculties would say. I think there was like a hint of realism within this thing.
Yeah, he's like a very cheerful character too. So there's not like it's a very sad and somber story, but with an upbeat character who's clearly has a disorder of some kind, like a compulsive disorder or
crazy. I just think that he was.
No, I didn't say. Yeah, I just say he has like a compulsive disorder. Like
yeah,
he's
he was led to
afraid.
believe he was told this thing, and it just like things stick sometimes.
Well, and
And
that's
we all
they
have
always
something.
look at any older person, as you get closer. I mean, my parents are in their 80s. When they get to that point, they do those things that they held on to, that they were taught early, the things that they were raised on, they become more important and they become more their defining characteristics. And they not to say they cling to them like a security blanket, but that is sort of what you return to in a lot of cases.
Mm-hmm.
And I will say,
I mean-
regardless, he was practical about the clock. Like he said, you know what? I'm going to try and sell it. First he moved it downstairs and then he moved it out, moved it, away from the house. He was trying.
Yeah.
Mhm.
He got that lady. She's a good bargain hunter.
Yeah.
Remember
Yeah.
when she said that? She's like, my husband's always saying I don't get good bargains. When he sees this bargain I got,
Oh
he'll
my
be
God.
blown
What
away.
a
I
weird
was like-
character. Oh my God.
I was like, bitch, he didn't say he was giving it to you for free. He said he was going to pay for it just later.
Mhm.
Like a payment.
I was telling Triv when we were watching this episode, I said people in the 60s were more worried about some of the strangest things than we are worried about today. Today we're worried about how much money am I going to spend on food. Back then they were like, how can I get a bargain on a grandfather clock, and where is it going to put in my nice house that I didn't pay over the nose and stuff like that.
Simpler, better time.
Yeah, it's like
Otherwise.
Pleasantville before Spider-Man and was it whatever phase destroyed it. Yeah. But anyway, so he sells the clock. I mean, it's to be fair, once again, like a lot of these episodes that deal like with a couple characters, there's not a huge amount of plot here. It's just a guy who is committed to this idea that he's going to die if the clock stops. So when he sells the clock, right before it goes to the halfway point, he decides he's going to break into the house because they go on vacation, and
You don't
he
want
gets
that.
caught by the police. He's like, I need to stop the clock. It's like, okay, old man, let's take you back home to your nice, comfortable bed. And
But we didn't. I didn't touch on it. But something I did
Yeah.
like about the episode with the performances was I
Mhm.
liked how his family, his granddaughter and her husband, they didn't like their performance. They never reacted like big and over the top, or they seemed kind of normal. Like, I mean, yes, they
yeah,
were,
it's very low key.
Yeah,
Yeah,
they were
like low
kinda
key,
like-
like most. Yeah,
it was it wasn't like TV. Like, it's usually like, they act real big. They were just kind of like, okay, yeah, we
It wasn't
know.
like the woman from last week. The crazy woman from last week is
Yeah.
over the top money grubber.
Like he
No,
would say
actually, I
these
was
crazy
gonna.
things, and they were just kind of like, well, yeah, but maybe we do this instead. It was
Yeah,
very like that is how you deal with people in situations like that, I guess.
right. Well, actually, I get asked this question, and I've noticed this. I've noticed this in Twilight Zone episodes. Is there a reason that the daughter is not taking care of the grandfather or the father? It's always the granddaughter is taking care of the grandfather
I
or the
don't know.
grandson. Is
They
that
don't really
is
talk
that something that
about
you
it.
guys have noticed? Like
uh
Uncle Simon was, I think, or uncle, like great uncle or something like
That was like his
that,
no,
or
niece,
it
wasn't
was
it?
niece, and uncle there. I think it was
oh,
just a
okay,
trope. That was just kind of a trope of the time. Like, I suppose in theory, maybe
went out for
dad
packs of
was
cigarettes or
taken
something.
out. Well, no, maybe dad was taken out during, World War II or Korea or something like that.
That's true. I mean, that's a good. I noticed that. I didn't really want to like whatever on it, but I just was curious about that because it always seems like the one parent's missing or both parents are missing, or it's like the grandfather is being taken care of the grandchild, or uncle and niece. It's a very interesting trope that if Rod Serling were around, I would ask him about, because like with the mirror situation, mirrors play an important part in the Twilight Zone with the idea of looking into our souls and selves and stuff like that in the mirror. But I don't know, it's not something I wanted to like talk for a while, and I just was curious if you guys noticed that.
I think that's of that era. I think it was a way to tell a story in a different way. It kind of move the situation out of a typical nuclear family. So
Mhm.
it's like something that someone would not experience every day.
Does make you wonder though, where's the mom or the dad? I guess whoever I don't know.
Maybe the
Well,
grandfather clock. Maybe she had her own grandfather or grandmother clock or something like that that stopped.
I don't know if there's grandmother
Uh,
clocks, but why not?
no, yeah, it's just called nagging. I don't know. I mean, he tries to he tries to reset the clock, and then he has the ghost of you know present, past, or whatever that talks to him, and an optical illusion that only the '60s can present. And he
Did you see how they had the
basically,
bed? How they because they superimposed the two pictures on top of each other, which I thought wasn't too bad,
Mhm.
for the time. But you see how the sheet hanging on the side of the bed, like when he was in it, obviously it was up here. But because they just took a picture of him in it or a video of him in it and a video of him out of it, and not video but film. But on top, the one where he's not in it, where he's laying on top of it when he got up, the sheet obviously was a lower. So if you look at the picture, it looks like there's two sheets like that. I don't know, weird shit like that. I realized or I noticed. Anyway, moving on.
yeah, uh,
Enough of this
it's
completely pointless moment.
like this episode pretty pointless. No, I'm just kidding.
Ah.
It's always funny how they have to do those effects because they don't have computers, they don't have the technology we have, so they can't do like an opacity thing or whatever. They have to like double expose that nonsense and
Yeah.
re-expose it and all that just to make it see through. And I appreciate it. I appreciate that they take the time and effort to do that kind of stuff. It's just always like you allude to, sheet not where it's supposed to be or overexposed and type of thing. But I mean, he
Overall good effect.
basically, what's that?
Overall a good effect, but
Yeah, yeah. But like Homer Simpson in that Simpsons episode, he survives. He's gonna have wouldn't it be his like great granddaughter or something like that at that point?
uh,
She's having a
great,
child.
be a great
grandchild,
grandson. Yeah,
great
Yeah.
grandson person.
And the clock, I don't necessarily think he believes in the clock anymore. And even though his spirited self, he says he's talking to it, says it's time to die, it's time to go on. He's like, nope, I have a great grandkid, great grandkid or whatever, and he's coming. Therefore, I will, give him love and affection, and I don't know, $100 million of money that he probably has underneath his bed or something like that.
$100 million in
Yeah.
1964.
$100
Wow.
million.
Maybe he was
$4.7
yeah, maybe he's a Randolph Hearst or something like that. Or he's a Hearst.
There you go.
That would make the episode better if it dealt with the Hearst family. Just like you find out he's rich, and I don't know. I don't know where I'm going with that, but Clock died, he died, he was born again, and that's pretty much the episode. Like I said, not really much to talk about. It's just a lot of like thinking about your life, as the days go by and the
True.
water tumbling out as the years go by. Our
I think it's
house
a lot
in the middle of
about
the street.
retrospective and like it's an extreme, but we've all got things that we were taught or told as children that are just in our world fact. That's just what we know to be. I mean, I can't think of anything off the top of my head right now, but we all have something that's creeping in the back of our head that is just that's how this particular thing is. And I think we've all, especially within our age group, had that moment as you get older that you realize when you realize something you always thought was a certain way. It could be a small thing even that you've always thought was a certain way, and you realize, oh shit, it's not that, it's this. And it's kind of a revelatory moment. I know I've had that happen.
Well,
Can't think of
there's ironically speaking, there's a video that I reposted today on Twitter, whereas these two girls that are I think they're with their mother or father at the store, and they start complaining about how they can't afford to buy chicken on the amount they make. It was like 3 pieces of chicken, I don't know how, like $9-10 or whatever it was. And the thing I thought about is exactly what you're talking about, where you grow up in this mindset of like, all our parents are providing you, all our parents are doing this, and blah, 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 blah. And then you become a real adult and you realize you have to spend money to survive, and you have to have, save money to survive and all that stuff, and pay bills and spend $10 on 3 pieces of chicken. And it's like here, it's like, this guy spent his whole entire life doing this and this and this with his clock. And here he is, about to be at the end of his life, and he feels like he should take it one step further and, maybe not live his life by.
Like I said, this deals with a bit of an extreme of something he was told that he's stuck with him. But like okay, like for instance, it's not one particular thing, but like my whole life when I growing up, I just thought my family was like normal, like financially and like our standing and everything was just normal, I guess, is whatever. I mean, I never went without food. It may not have been what I wanted, and I always had clothes. Definitely not what I wanted, but I thought it was just normal upbringing. Now, there was a lot of things about my upbringing that were not normal, but we're not going to get into that. But the one thing, like a financial standing, it was like I was in my mid 30s because you just don't think of these things because it just is. I started like, reminiscing and thinking more about my childhood and finding more out like about my parents and things and like that early times of my life. And I realized, holy shit, we were fucking poor.
Yeah.
I didn't even realize. I was like that was a kind of a revelatory moment for me. Not that I like lived my life by some way or thing like this guy does, but it was just a thing that was a fact in my head that, oh, we were just financially, middle class or whatever you want to call it. No, we was broke as shit and poor as hell. That's not how middle class people lived. And like I didn't, it was kind of like, oh my God, my whole life just changed. And there's been other things I won't get into, but like as I learned things about like my family and parents and stuff like that, and it changes things from my life when I was younger. I mean, what happened is, but things like I look at areas of my life back then now, and I'm like, that is not how I perceived that. And it's kind of like that with this guy. He had this fact in his life because it's how he grew up. I mean, clock dies, you die. And it's a bit of an extreme, yeah, but he went his whole life with that until one day he finally realized he went to a shrink or whatever, had his revelatory moment where he was like, that's not accurate. Just because that's been a fact within my life, my whole life, doesn't mean it is a fact. It's not true. I don't have to have this clock. I was finally able to let go of that. I think that's kind of what spoke to me.
Yeah. Well, I'd even say, and I'm gonna go a little dark for a second, but like, if your family had dealt with, say, alcoholism, like you have a choice, and abuse and or whatever, you have a choice on how you deal with that. You can either play into that and go, okay, well, this is what I was taught, I'm gonna continue that cycle, or once you become aware of it and understand the ins and outs of it, you can try to make steps to change how you see the world and how you interact.
Yeah.
Like I know people that like they had to pull their dad out of the bar. Like it was like the stories I hear are just intense, and you make those choices where you go and how you deal with that.
And some of it's a choice that sometimes you don't know you have.
Right. Well, no, it's a matter of it's a matter of like this guy. He didn't realize, like, he was so in his own head, but he had kind of blinders on with it.
It was his fact. I mean,
right, exactly.
Okay, I always put it to people like this. Somebody put this to me one day, and I was like, "You've got a point." And I've always liked this. And you might laugh at this and be like, "That's dumb," but China, is it there?
Is China the country there?
Yeah. Does China, Asia, does it exist?
Yes.
I'm assuming so.
Have you been there?
I haven't, but I've known people that have backpacked across that neck of the woods. So
people that have told you.
Yes.
You've never.
Okay, that's like the
in the woods. How do you know?
But
that's right.
I mean, my point is this. I mean, that's a rabbit hole to go down.
No, I understand. I get it.
Australia, any place you haven't been. But the point is this. The point is that's not even something you think about. It's not a question.
Right.
It's just a fact that China is a place. To this guy is a fact. Clock dies, I die. It's not anything. The question is not there to be asked.
Right. He doesn't see it until it's shown to him.
Yeah, because it's just always he was told from before he could remember, and that's what it is. So it's not really. People are like, how can you question that? It's like, well, or how can you not question that, rather? Because it's within his world, it's a fact. He's never had to question it. There's never been anything to tell him to question it. It sounds ridiculous, but that's what has always been part of his world. So that's just what it is. And then one day when somebody breaks that down, he's like, oh shit, I was wrong. I don't have to do that. So, and it's an extreme on this in the episode, but I look at it as I think there's lots of things like that in all of our lives that we don't even question, because there is no question to be had as far as we're concerned, because that's just what it's always been. I know the China thing is kind of out there. That's
but it's a definitive thing.
Yeah,
it's a definitive way of seeking things. I would almost, on a smaller level, I would almost compare it to, like, you walk around and you've got your glasses on your head or on your shirt, or something like, where did my glasses go? Where did my phone go? Where's my wallet? Whatever it might be. And it's like in your pocket, or it's on your head, or it's, whatever. Like you have it on you, but you're so obsessed with finding it, you forget that it's right there.
Well, I have an obsession. This is a really weird obsession of, like, if I am grabbing a box. Thank you, Jacob. No, but if I grab like something, or I see something like a wall or something like that, I actually have to go up and touch it just to make sure it's real, because I have this like weird, I don't know, it's not really
you poked all
weird
the meat at the supermarket when you was a kid.
you don't know what hey you don't know.
Stuck your finger down.
Why do you think I'm obsessed with beating my meat? Who knows?
Just don't get it from the Publix. It's expensive there.
Yeah, it might give you E. coli. It give you Red Sox or blueberry or whatever.
Blue taco.
No, yeah, blue taco. No, it's weird. Like the things that they're not necessarily disorders; they're just like ticks that we have. And he had a very big tick that was in the back of his head, just gnawing at his brain. Yeah, he had a big. See, it's funny when I say stuff like Jacob like misinterprets. He's like, "Did you say big dick?" I'm like, "No, tick, tick." It's like when I used to work at a gatehouse, at a guard shack. People thought it was something else. It's like it's
I
that
don't
type of.
judge.
It's a
It's that.
gatehouse. It's a
Yeah.
little place where
They give you gas and. Anyways,
they don't care. Tick
no, but
shack,
yeah.
baby.
Oh
Tick
Jesus.
shack, baby. Tick shack, baby. Tick shack.
Triv, calm down. Simmer down, Triv. Simmer down.
No, never.
No, but yeah, like we all have our stuff things. It just it is what it is. So I don't know where we're going now, but apparently Hellraiser 2022 is available on Disney Plus, by the way. So there you go.
Oh,
Does that mean that
perfect
Hellraiser
fit.
is a Disney princess, or that the Cenobites are
Yes.
Disney princesses?
absolutely.
No, they're like
Awesome.
Mickey, they're like Minnie and Goofy and Pluto and stuff like that.
Nice.
Yeah.
I need that YouTube video in my life. Come on, somebody. The chick who has like the teeth like
Yeah.
pulled back and like her throat's open. You have all the Disney princesses, and then it just like pans over, and she's like,
Make it so, Jacob.
"Somebody make a
it
flash
so.
video of that ASAP."
It'd be funny if Terrifier popped up on Disney Plus. That'd be
Oh
amazing.
God.
On Hulu.
I don't think that's a Disney property.
No, it's not. But it's bloody disgusting, I think, actually. I don't know, but is there really anything else you guys want to talk about with this episode? Anything you wanted to bring up? Anything, does it give you thoughts of your life and comprehending the fact that we are doing a podcast about the Twilight Zone? I don't know. Like, does it make you think?
Yeah, and I think
Does it
our
make
discussion.
does it make you touch upon yourself?
Oh, I'm always touching myself.
Touches me in places I haven't been touched since kindergarten.
Oh, Jesus.
God.
Should
No,
I
but
pull
I
out
think
the panda and tell me where it touched? Where?
Oh man.
Yeah, so, anyways, Trev, what were you gonna say?
Oh no, I'm just gonna say I think we had quite a good discussion about the ins and outs of what the implications of this episode.
See,
Yeah. Like I said, it's not. It doesn't really have a lot to it. This is the problem with some of these Twilight Zone episodes. Like, I used to get. I got frustrated one day because I'm like, we didn't really talk about anything and all that stuff, and I realized there's not even stuff to talk about. It's just
I think
guy.
there was. There was.
No, I
think there
meant
was
the
stuff in this.
essence of like. I'm used to just doing like 3-hour videos, and like a couple videos have been like an hour and 20 minutes. It's like, oh yeah, that means we actually talked about stuff and we
Yeah.
didn't bullshit for 3 hours. And
But let's be real. We didn't talk as long at the onset of this one as we usually do. But also, I mean, this was a video that going in, I think you definitely, Nick, expected, and even myself, I didn't expect we would talk very long because beyond the twist, non-twist in the end, there's not like a whole lot in this episode on the surface to talk about. But I think that our discussion went places, and I think this is one of those Twilight Zone episodes that, well, maybe not as much as like maybe What You Need or something like that, but I think there is like a lot of nuance and little like background things and things to dig deep down into with this episode, which I think we did, like with mental health and expectations and things like that.
yeah. It's I guess in the end, like if you want to classify it as a Twilight Zone, it's a more subtle Twilight Zone episode than it doesn't hit like extremely hard, like I don't know, Nightmare at 20,000 feet or The Mask or
the end is very non-traditional Twilight Zone.
Yeah. A Piano in the House, it doesn't really hit hard, hits me in the ball sack every week like a
hit hard like that penis stretcher.
Right.
Our new review is like, what?
They've been saying that for 132 weeks, so they're used to it. Anyways, Jacob, with that said, hit us with the longest closing narration in the history of closing narrations.
Is it? Oh, yeah, okay. Clocks are made by men. God creates time. No man can prolong his allotted hours. He can only live them to the fullest. In this world or in the Twilight Zone.
I was really hoping that 90 Years of Slumber was like a Rip Van Winkle story. That's what I was thinking it was going to be.
We already did that one.
So
I
there was
know.
one that I thought that this might be, and it's this guy that there is something similar to the clock that keeps him going, and then, but he's like a really rude guy, and the episode must still be upcoming because I don't remember seeing it, but
I know what you're
When you
talking
left.
about. Yeah.
yeah,
I
I don't
I
remember what
know.
it is. Yeah,
Is
but
it I know what you're talking about because I either that or it was on something. There's either an episode of Tales from the Crypt or something like that that had a very similar.
no, I remember it was definitely Twilight Zone just because it was black and white and it definitely had like that feel.
When the
Wait,
Outer
why you gotta
Limits,
be black and whitest?
I'm pretty sure it wasn't, but
the Outer Limits was black and white too, wasn't it?
yeah, I don't ever think I watched the Twilight or the Outer Limits though.
There's another
Well, it was the
ventriloquist episode
GoBots
coming
of
up.
the Twilight Zone, so
Maybe I don't know. Well, when we run across it, we'll run across it. So
We got the encounter coming up. That's always gonna be an interesting conversation. I know what you're talking about, Trip, because I know I know the story. I just
next
I
week
can't
we got
remember.
Ring a Ding Girl.
Ring-a-ding.
I don't remember anything about that episode.
Ring a Ding Girl.
Well, I mean, Raymond will be on for that, so he'll key us in on that.
Absolutely.
But that is episode 5 or episode 5, season 5, episode was it 12? 12 of the podcast of the series.
We're almost halfway done.
Nightmare at slumbering 30,000 feet, that type of thing. So
Old man with a big tick.
oh, Lord have mercy. Okay, so Triv, what is the Pace Magazine rankings?
IMDb, hang on here. I had it up and then I lost it.
Triv.
Okay. Paste had it at any guesses where this fell?
5.
115.
All right. Nick, you're gonna stick with 5?
Sure.
Paste had it at 95 and IMDb had it at 120.
I was only 90 off.
Oh yeah.
More. So they had 120, huh?
Yeah.
They would have had a near 16 millimeter shrine, and 4 of us are dying on our list. And
I mean, and a lot of the reviews and stuff kind of talked about what we talked about. The story was kind of thin. It wasn't necessarily Twilight Zone. It's kind of schlocky. But I mean, most of the reviews were generally positive, but it's middle of the road Twilight Zone.
right. And yeah, I think we'll go there with the Twilight Zone ranking list, the greatest ranking list ever known by sliced bread and clocks and walls and yellow and all that good stuff. All right, so I'm gonna just start with 100. We'll go from there. I don't know where else to go with this episode because
100.
I'm writing this whole list up again just to kind of get myself ahead. So what do you guys think? 7th is made of a phantom. Is it better than that?
Yeah.
I would say yes.
Hang on, I'm pulling up the
I think it's definitely better than a kind of stopwatch, which is at 97.
the 7th is
I
made
like a
up of
kind of
phantoms.
stopwatch, but that's just
Which
me.
one? We just watched.
No,
that.
it's not bad. It's
Oh, that's the one with the Indians.
yeah, that's Custer's Last Stand
Yeah, it's better than that.
with the tank.
I think this is better than Uncle Simon.
I don't know where it falls, but do you? No, I know you won't. I was like, do you think that because you brought up Kick the Can a lot?
Yeah.
I asked you if you thought it was better than Kick the Can.
I think Kick the Can has a more dynamic. I think it's an
Yeah,
expected
I
ending,
think
but I
that's
think
better.
overall it's got a more dynamic thing. I think our
Like I
discussion
said, it's not a bad episode. Like the problem is this is not a bad episode. It's like a very serviceable episode. It's just my problems are very known at this point. So what I think.
I think it's better than I Sing the Body Electric.
I could agree with that.
I didn't really care for that.
I would, if I were to put, I mean, I would put this like up in the 50s somewhere.
Really?
Yeah, because like I said, it's
the guy who's the most negative on it.
well, but
I mean,
if we
that's
have to put
fine.
it as a Twilight Zone episode, I'm perfectly fine. I don't know. I went too far on my
I'm
list
not a Kick the
updating.
Can fan. I didn't like the new version.
I mean, that's 52.
Right.
So then there's
Yeah.
and there's
I don't
Image
think
and-
I don't think I like this episode, but I'm gonna stick by the fact that
See,
although I
Trim
like
even
it,
admits she didn't like the episode.
I I like the episode. I don't. It's not a top 50 or 60 episode for me.
It's better than Long Distance Call.
Yeah, I'll give it that. It's definitely better than Long
56.
Distance Call.
I do not like Long
Yeah, no, I agree with you on that one.
That still wouldn't be a top 50.
No, I know. I
56.
just yeah, I mean it had the sentimentality going. It had, like you said, the ending was unexpected. It was sweet. It was presented in a very realistic way. Like there wasn't a lot of like hysterics and things like that.
Probe 7 over and out. Which one was that? The Adam and Eve one?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I liked that one. I know
Well,
you. hated it.
I know we ran into this with, what one was it? There was one we ran into this with recently. I
Long
would say
Distance
that
Call.
no, a world of difference. And I know we're not gonna ever be able to say, oh, everything above this is great. Because we have all got our different lists, but I do think World of Difference is better than this one.
What number is that?
That is 58.
I mean, if this made it into the 50s, I think I'm surprised
Yeah.
just based on the conversation we had. But I mean,
I think it's a
I'm
solid
not splitting
episode.
hairs over
Like that one
52 to
week.
58. You know, oh
Yeah.
yeah, that was. I think that was the one I was just talking about.
That was Probe 7, yeah. Because you were an asshole.
I was not.
Yes, you were. You were playing it for all it was worth. That's fine.
I liked that one.
Oh, yes, you did. You liked that
Oh,
one so
God.
much.
This episode's way better than the Mind of the Matter. Like I would put it between 56 and 61.
That's exactly where she just said.
Well, no, I'm just saying I like I said, I would put it right in that area.
Okay, well, in that area, World of Difference. Which one? I always get that mixed up. Which
World
one?
of Difference was the one where he like the
He
guy
becomes
or
he's
the actor
Yeah,
comes
yeah,
into
the
the
bitchy
real
wife.
world.
the gold digger.
Yeah. I would even go above Long Distance Call on this one.
I would. I mean, just based on Long Distance Call, I like it better than Long Distance.
I mean, I can't put it
You know what,
above
I
Charles
will-
Bronson, so
I will
I'm sorry, Trev.
I will give no, that's okay. I will give you this one above Long Distance Call. You can have that.
I'm cool with 56. That would be one above Long Distance Call.
But Trev,
Yes, it
are you
would.
happy with that? Are you just ready?
I'm fine with
ready
it.
to end it?
No, I'm okay with that actually. Like I say,
Trev's like, I'm out.
I didn't
I'm
have
done.
issues. I mean, I didn't have issues with this in the grand scheme. It's not the end all be all of Twilight Zone episodes, but it's sweet. And it covers a thing that we all deal with, and I think it was well done.
Yeah.
Guy who played it was good. You know.
I actually think it did, Nick. I know you disagreed, but I think it opened up some conversation that I wasn't necessarily anticipating we would have.
Right. And like I said, we'll be like 3 weeks later, a month later, going, why the fuck did we put it that high? Or Alex or
See,
Wynn
I
will
don't
be like,
think
"What
that
the
we
hell?"
will with this
Not on
one.
that one.
With this one
Then we'll probably
specifically.
completely forget about it.
I think a lot of that happens with earlier episodes. Not early, but like season 3 and like those episodes. Because like a lot of those ones, I'm like, because we didn't have as much to play on at that point, I guess, or we're kind of in the middle. And now we're like stuck with some of them in certain spots. And then we're just like, how did this happen? Like, I don't know how the hell Long Distance Call is at 58.
It was probably
You
at
can-
like 40 when we were only 40 episodes in, so it just kind of
Yeah.
went from there.
I mean, I don't think it was the
You know, go ahead and
worst.
blame me. You can blame me for Chance to Dream. You
Triv,
can blame me for this one too.
I blame you
get
for
it. That's fine.
I blame you.
Go for it.
I blame you
I can
for
take it. I can
being the
take
nicest
it.
person
I'm a
ever.
big girl. I can take it.
who has a quest for fire in her heart.
Oh Jesus, we're not talking about that one. I think it was a fucking
Yeah.
pain in my
I don't know.
ass.
Somebody brought that up, so I think you should have kept that. But
No,
yeah.
I'm happier
okay.
without it.
Live with all of it. Live with it. Okay, so we'll put it there. New number 56, 90 Years Without Slumbering. Number 1, Trouble with Templeton. Number 2, 132, Eye of the Beholder.
Ah, crap.
Next
hang on,
episode.
Hang on. I gotta find it.
How
Oh
many
shit.
am I gonna do that?
Where
joke
the
and
fuck
nobody's-
is it?
108,
108. 108 is a piano in. No, sorry, 109.
109.
109 is a piano in.
The house.
Feels like you're making love to your mic now.
You need to aim more the mic like at your camera so we can get the fuck it going directly into the camera. There you go. Perfect. No notes.
No notes. I wonder how long it's gonna be before you guys actually say you're putting the two rankings in the wrong order. Nobody says anything. It's so sad. Anyway, so yeah, number 1, Eye of the Beholder. Number 132, Trouble Templeton. Once again, I don't think those are going to change. I think they're going to stay exactly where they are because unless Black Leather Jackets is the worst thing ever, and then Trey puts Bewitching Pool at number 1.
Oh, 100%.
Exactly.
Trouble with Templeton's been last for a while. There's a
A very
Yeah.
long time.
we
Man,
were all
that
angry with that
sucks.
episode. Very angry.
I wasn't as angry as you guys, but yeah, it wasn't great.
No.
I
but-
I still challenge anyone to tell me what the fuck was going on there,
Well, you see.
and I would have a rebut to whatever they say, because someone will
Her
try and make
rebut.
sense of it, and I'm like, no.
Anyways, so next episode is season 5, episode 13, Ring a Ding Girl, directed by Alan Crossland Jr., written by Jacob's favorite writer, Errol Hamner Jr. Walton's. I watched a couple Walton's episodes actually, by the way. They're not bad. Very, very of its time, but not bad for what it's
Nice.
worth. So
Legit.
yeah.
Too
I think
legit, too
Richard.
quick.
I think Richard Thomas. I think Richard Thomas is like one of the most underrated actors in history. Anyways, so that episode stars, of course, Maggie McNamara, Mary Mundy, David Macklin, Barry Lou Gerson. Look forward to that. I think Raymond's supposed to be on for that episode, so we'll look forward to him coming back. But we're gonna head out. We're gonna, actually break before 12 at night for my times, which is pretty impressive for us. So there you go.
Hooray.
Jacob, or actually, no, I'm gonna go
Most
Trip
impressive.
first.
What?
Fatality. No, friendshipality. Triv, let's go to you first.
Yes.
So now
Yeah.
I seem to go to everyone else but you first. Where's your
What?
content at? When are you doing a redo of Quest of Fire?
Oh, right now I'm in the middle of Ristravaganza. Check out all of my short PSA riffings with friends of the channel, as well as my co-creators and whatnot, including these two assholes at some point. You can find me over on YouTube. So there's always something new coming up there. So yeah, should be some new stuff dropping pretty soon.
Yeah, if you ever want to learn about portraits or frames with what's his face and menstruation and all that good stuff, you can go right there
Pizza
and watch those
Hut and
videos.
Shaking Hands with
which was an
Danger.
amazing video.
Pizza the Hut.
So
Yeah, no, I do actually make
Oh.
that joke.
he's gonna come out for you. So yeah, definitely look out for that, all that good stuff on Trip's channel. Jacob, I know someday, some way, somehow, some play, you'll have content again. When that happens, we'll be shocked and surprised and awed and ecstatic. Where's it at?
On YouTube, you can find me at RetroJakeXY, where I don't have content always coming, but I do have content coming eventually. This is not content that will be super soon. A lot of things going on right now, but I do plan on getting back into the content swing of things. I have been considering live streaming again, so maybe that'll happen. I don't know. I'd have to decide a night I can do it every week, so we'll see. But yes, there's content coming sometime. Not going to say soon, but soon in the grand scheme
Sometime.
of things.
In the near future, in the year 3000.
Yep.
So yeah, Jacob still has content, so definitely look out for it. Me personally, I don't have content. I'm just here for the laws. I do. No, not really. I'm doing the Snowpiercers. I'm doing this podcast. I'm well, whatever they throw at me each week, I'll review. I think I posted my Terminator Zero review at this point. By the time this episode posts, I'm either have seen Beetlejuice, or I will be seeing Beetlejuice. So I'll probably have a review for that. I don't know. I do as I feel when it comes with it
Best
comes
way to
hard.
do
So
it.
that's right. But anyways, look forward to that. So without further ado, we're going back into the Twilight Zone of hell and grandfather clocks and ticking time bombs and stuff like that. And for myself, Triv, and Jacob, we'll see you guys next time in the Twilight Zone. Peace out, motherfucker.
Bye. Jake, you
Did
froze.
did I freeze?
You did.
Why the hell did that happen?
I have no idea.
What the
You're
hell?
frozen in time.
One frozen in
Hang on.
time.